Hey, I am Dr. Jerika Dodd, founder and CEO of Your Pharmacy Advocate and the executive editor of this baby right here. Not Your Pharmacy Advocate, that's the business. PharmaSis Magazine. I'm so excited. I'm like tripping all over myself. However, let me tell you why I'm excited. Because you know what? In this business, I have had the opportunity to meet some of the most amazing people. And I will tell you that it is a rarity that I go live with tissue and tears in my eyes. But I think this is only the second time this has happened. It happened once before with Dr. Christina Fontana. And oh my gosh, Dr. Janan Sarwar, you have brought tears to my eyes in our conversation leading up to this live moment. There's nobody else that I would rather talk to in this moment and interview. And I know that you have been so patiently waiting because we were scheduled and then we had to reschedule and we had to get it all right and we had to get it straight. And like today was supposed to be that day. So whatever reason we couldn't get connected before right now, it's okay because today, hello, welcome to our broadcast. Today, we are live. It's okay. We accept visitors and guests. Today we are live, and I could not be more excited to welcome Dr. Janan Sarwar, who was featured in PharmaSis Magazine Winter 2022. She's with me today, and we decided that we are just going to have a good old-fashioned conversation. And so I'm so excited that one of her little ones decided to join us. And it's what happens. It's so okay. Good morning, Doctor, or good afternoon to you, Dr. Janan, and welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. This is reality, so thank you for understanding. My spouse is works from home, so he's working from home and it's fall break. I forgot that part, but that's why all three of my girls are home.
Yes.
But we'll just go with the flow. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. I really appreciate it.
Yes, yes. And look, she gave you a gift. That's a gift to say, hey, thank you for inviting me to your show.
Yes.
So it's okay. Don't worry about it. Because what we've got to talk about, the people who are either going to come live or going to watch this, because it will be on the Facebook Pharmacist page, it will be on the YouTube, my YouTube, Dr. Jarika Dodd. It will also be on the LinkedIn Pharmacist page, and I will share it to as many other places as I have the ability to do. So, with that, I just want to again welcome you. And I just want to start by asking you if you can reflect, because we've known each other for a minute now. We knew each other before the magazine.
Yes.
So remind me, I remember, but let's tell the audience like how we got together because you were in a different phase in your life and you have done some amazing things. You were doing amazing things. And then you started doing more amazing things. So tell everybody how we connected and got together.
Yes, I've been on LinkedIn for a good while as well, and I saw all the amazing things you were doing with women, pharmacist women, and at the time I was working in a place where we were needing more authors and editors and things, and I saw that you were featuring some incredible people. And so you had this ability where we could book time to chat, and I remember being so excited to meet with you, and that's what began it all. We had a conversation, we connected. You told me my dreams were urgent, and I
Yes.
wrote that down, and I haven't forgotten it since. So, yeah.
And sometimes when you're in the line of work that you and I are in, you don't always necessarily get instant gratification that you're having an impact. I recently had someone who I coached 2 years ago before she had her baby, and her baby just turned two. So that's how I could
Wow.
measure the time. I recently saw a post and she said to me, Jarika, it only took me 2 years. But she was basically saying, the things that you coached me on, here we are 2 years later. Look, it only took me that long, but they're happening. And it was one of the most gratifying moments because I am in this business to impact lives. There's nothing I do that's by accident. There's nothing I do that is just haphazard. I'm not out for a money grab. I'm not out for, capitalizing on
No.
anyone else. I am out to impact lives because I get the calls from so many people who want to make changes, so many pharmacists who want to make changes, but they're not sure where to start. And I don't want anyone to experience the same thing I did. So I'm so grateful to hear. You don't know how rewarding it is to hear you say you wrote down your dreams are urgent. So tell me, what have you been doing since we met, since I published the winter edition of PharmaSis that you so graciously appeared in? And let me tell the audience that like Dr. Janan gets, let me see if I can get close up. Dr. Janan gets the award for the most beautifully mesmerizing eyes in PharmaSis Magazine, amongst others. Like,
That's
what's
so
been
sweet.
up? What's been going on? Tell me what dreams you've been building.
Yes. Oh, it's just dreams. The way where I came and how it came just has been really natural. So it's really beautiful. But the two main things I'll share are Salam Storytime, which is my daughter's podcast, which
Ah,
is a podcast where we read children's books from around the world with
mhm,
permission from publishers. And that little one, that thankful to my husband who just grabbed her and put her back where she was. But my whole family is a part of this podcast initiative. And that little one, she's 3, she reads in it. She cannot read, but she's in the podcast too.
ah,
And so, yeah, it's really, really fun initiative. I've had my whole life, my journey that has brought me to this day has, at one point, I was a photographer. At one point, I did a fellowship where I had to edit audio and video. All these little things are the reason why I can say I can very easily and naturally make a podcast. But that's one thing, Salam Storytime. And that's just a for fun project, family project for the community, and we're involving community members. The
mhm,
second thing I wanted to share is Global Bookshelves International. That is I guess, my fourth child, and something very excited about, very proud of.
mhm,
It is a global independent book publishing company where we aim to create community through
mhm,
inclusion and through raising the voices of those who don't have a voice, or those
mhm.
who have a voice, and we can do it in an innovative, brilliant way. So I publish books and make content through global bookshelves. Those are my two pride and joy, and that's what I'd love to share.
No, wait a minute. You gotta help me out with this
Yeah.
because it was just a couple of days ago that our fellow pharma sister Megan Freeland said, "Are do you like is being a pharmacist part of your identity?" And I flipped a really quick response back and said, Being a pharmacist just happens to be what I do. It's not who I am." So now I have you in front of me, and you're like a pharmacist, but not like a pharmacist. You're a pharmacist, and you're telling me that you're publishing books. Like, how does that all add up? Because there's that crop of people who are like, I went to pharmacy school, and so there's no way that I could do or should do anything other than what I was trained to do. So tell me, how did you get past that school of thought? And you're an amazing, accomplished pharmacist that's out here with your own publishing company. Like, you got to give me more details. Tell me about that.
I mean, I've always been that black sheep wherever I go, so I'm actually very okay with being the weird pharmacist, the non-traditional, that's a better word,
Right.
than weird. It's more eloquent, I'd say, non-traditional pharmacist. But at my core, if you ask me to tell you who I am, I would say I'm Janan. I'm the publishing pharmacist mom. You saw the child, so that
Mhm.
says that
Yes.
publishing and creating content has always been a part of what I've done since even when I was little. I don't know if my parents were able to make the live. I told them how to get on LinkedIn. I don't know if that happened, but if they're listening later, maybe the replay.
Yeah.
Um, it's something that I all of these things are important part of who I am.
Mhm.
Being a mother has influenced everything. but that is not all I am. I think everyone has so many layers. It's like you get the tip of the iceberg when you meet someone, when you have a first impression, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's what you see and what you imagine and the biases that you have, good or bad, about
Mhm.
someone.
Mhm.
And I challenge everyone to just when they meet someone or when you have a label like pharmacist, the question that you asked, there's more to that. Being a pharmacist is crucial to being a publisher. I published all those books over there at APHA. And I wasn't the sole person. I was among a team and we worked together. But guess what? What are some things? Maybe I'll ask you. What are some things that some characteristics of pharmacist? Like let's say type A characteristics. I'll bring that up. But there's a lot of characteristics of pharmacists. But what are some stereotypes about pharmacists that you've heard of?
That we're nerdy,
Okay.
that we are type A, like you said, that we're very analytical, that we're
Yes.
very linear thinkers,
Sure.
that we're very risk averse, that we are definitely tend to lend to being rule abiding, and that I'll say, I'll put my spin on it. We color between the lines. We don't color outside of the lines usually as pharmacists. And so, therefore, that's why we get words like non traditional or weird, or I tell people I'm not your average pharmacist. And so, I think those are the characteristics that come to mind often when I think of how people have described pharmacists.
Okay, I'm gonna pick, like I said, we're both non-traditional. I'll
Right.
say half of those apply to me. So the meticulous, analytical, rule-abiding when I need to. Now think of publishing. Think of a big book, 1,000-page book that's for other pharmacists that need no mistakes, that
Right.
have no errors, that are correct, and it's going to teach pharmacy for the world. You
Mhm.
need someone that's analytical. You need someone that can do all of those things. So those are that's why I am a pharmacist at heart. I have those strengths. The
Yes.
part that I'm going to disagree with what a traditional pharmacist does is that yeah, I color outside of the lines. I see things that maybe others don't always see. And meeting you and meeting some other of these non-traditional pharmacists made me realize I'm not alone. And maybe somebody listening here is like, wow, I'm not exactly the definition, the textbook definition of pharmacist, and it's those other things and whatever those other things that you describe yourself. Someone told me once, I took one of those at APHA, I took one of those disc assessments
Yes.
where I had to, what was it called? I had to basically say what, like disc assessment, they actually applied birds to it. So the and I can't, I'm gonna get all the letters and the words wrong, but they likened your characteristic to an eagle, an owl, a dove, or a parrot. And this may sound familiar. Like a parrot is probably the one that's like very extroverted, likes to communicate with people. The eagle is someone who, is more likely to be a CEO type, can see the problems, can see it from above. An
Mhm.
owl is mostly the characteristic of that traditional pharmacist you talked about. Very looking at the rules, very, meticulous, analytical,
Mhm.
etc. And then that dove, they do everything with a lot of love and care and sensitivity. We have all of these birds within us, right?
Right. Absolutely.
But it's that ability to task switch between knowing what bird to bring out. And so I will say the publishing pharmacist Janan is when I'm the eagle owl, which is an odd combination.
Mhm.
But when I can see the trees and I can also see the forest, I think
Mhm.
that's important to have. And this comes up in mothering, being a mother. It comes up in being able to be creative and creating things. I like to use my camera and video and other things to create things, like I said before, that people always can't see. And
Mhm.
so, I don't know, hopefully that was interesting a way to answer your question
Yeah.
about the identity. I think it's so true that I've always kind of felt bad. I'll be honest, where when someone's like, "What do you do?" Or I'm in Kentucky. I went to a this gathering of Kentucky pharmacists and, I didn't really know anyone. And then when I introduced myself, they're like, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I publish, I do career coaching a little bit, I do some medical writing," and they didn't know what to make of me. So when you feel that way, it's kind of it kind of feels weird. And then slowly someone did know me and they were like, "You don't know Janan?" And I'm like, "Oh gosh, no." And then see, it's that when people look beyond what they see
Mhm.
and they look under that iceberg and they're like, "What? You did that? You can do this? You can do that?" And I'm like, "I guess, yeah." So yeah, but I'll be proud of it. I'm learning that not everyone has biases. Again, as
Mhm.
I said, both good and bad, and it's up to us to put ourselves out there, which is why I met with you. And I said, "How do I do this? How do I create myself?" And you said, "Janan, come with me. I'll help you." And that was the beginning of a beautiful story. So I thank you for that.
Well, and you know, Janan, we got a message from my dear friend Dr. Corrine Wong, and she said, "Hi, ladies." So she tuned in and she left us a greeting. You know, on this journey, I think that one of the things that I have definitely come to understand is, and part of it, I think, has been a factor of just being older and keep living. I've come to understand that pharmacy happens to be what I went to school for
Sure.
3 times. However, there's a calling on my life,
Yeah.
and that calling was not necessarily pharmacy, but I made that decision, at 17 years old, and I don't regret it at all because it has definitely been a wonderful 24 years of experience because I've had a lot of lessons learned.
Yeah.
However, when I told someone just yesterday, I said I never could have imagined my life as a pharmacist to encompass so many of the things that I love. I feel like I have, oh, Dr. Prince sent us more of a more of a comment. I feel that at this time in my life, I'm doing the things
Yeah.
that I was meant to do, the things that I love to do, and I'm also enjoying the impact I'm able to have.
Yeah.
Now, does it mean that I can't don my white lab coat and go and practice pharmacy? No, it doesn't mean that at all. And from
Right.
time to time, I still do. I still actively hold my licenses and all of those things. However, as I said to you before, I sit with people and I am in awe of the impact that they trust me to have in their lives, in their careers. And it's not that impact that you see the result of 5 minutes after talking to them. It's
No.
that impact that sometimes you don't see for years. It's that impact that when that person started working with me, whether it's through the magazine, every woman that comes to me to be in this magazine is on a different journey. And I have said many times before that being a part of the magazine, some women are learning how to upload documents to box.com. Some women are learning how to write their bio and to say, who they are to the world.
Yeah.
Some women are learning that they don't like this angle of themselves in the picture. Some
Yeah.
women are learning that you have to love yourself to be in a magazine like this because you're basically saying, hey, world, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Some women are learning to see themselves as the CEO of their life, of their business. Some women are learning how to market themselves because you and I know we were not taught how to market ourselves or build a
No.
brand in
No.
pharmacy school.
Not
No
at all.
pharmacy school, but we were not. Dr. Janan, I told you we were going to let this thing roll because I'm going to show the comments in a second. We have people that are, it doesn't look
Really?
like anyone is on live, but they are because
Oh,
we've gotten 3, 4 new comments.
awesome.
Nonetheless, and so I'm gonna make sure to show those in just a second. But women who go on this journey of being in the magazine, women who go on the journey with coaching with me, they're signing up for something that they never even like. They're signing up, going, yeah, I'll be in the magazine, but they're not even aware of what's waiting for them, the experience, like, because there's something that happens And I want you to comment on this. There's something that happens when you get this magazine in the mail, and you don't worry about that lady on the front. Don't worry about her. But you open to your page,
Let me do
and
that.
it's in your hand. Like, it's one thing to see it online, but you open up the magazine when it comes to your house and it's in your hand, and you see yourself as the world also is seeing you. What does that feel like to go, this lady right here, this lady who bet on herself, who believed in herself, who said, I'm going to go for it no matter what happens, whether I sink or swim, I'll just, what does it feel like when you open up these pages and you get to your article? Because you're like all those other ladies, they're great too. But when you see you and you have that moment with Janan, what did you feel like when you saw that?
I don't think I've celebrated it yet. Have so much going on, but I am here to say that I've opened it with you, and it is a little I'm shaking a little bit. It's a little overwhelming seeing my face this big.
Yeah.
And seeing these are all taken in a library, by the way. This is very
Ah,
much me, authentically Janan, in a library, all of these.
yes.
But print is not dead. I love touching and feeling 'cause there's so much stuff that's online, Instagram, things that disappear, Snapchat, TikTok, all of those. I'm on all of those, but it's more to keep up with the trends.
Right.
And life has become so fast for
Yes.
everyone, for everything. When I see that you are taking the effort and making something in print, I believe in print. I
Mhm.
love books. I
Mhm.
believe books are the future and magazines are important, and showcasing this rainbow of diversity with unique abilities, unique strengths, whether you're even if you're a traditional pharmacist, there's nothing wrong. I hope I didn't say anything to make anyone listening feel if you're a traditional there's anything wrong. I'm
No.
just kind of explaining my own journey of not feeling like I did the right thing, but I took a chance and came with you because I said, maybe this will help someone else. Maybe it's for me. Maybe it's so that I can get a photo shoot in a library and,
Hey,
and
that's not a
send
bad
you
deal.
figure out how to send you articles, answer your questions that were beautiful and introspective and made me think. How do you respond to fear is one of your questions, and I'll
Mhm.
answer it live here. I said by slowly exposing myself to what I'm afraid of and mentally breaking down what I have to do to overcome it. My favorite question is, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. And at the time I wrote that answer, that was before I really thought of the words that I learned by a mentor and friend and a colleague of mine, Alex Barker. I'll mention his name here because he's important to me and have been really important on my journey. But he taught me this idea called progress over perfection. So this is the first one of the first journals published by Global Bookshelves.
Aha.
We designed it. But anyway, progress over perfection. That's another way I can say how I overcome fear. Now,
Mhm.
I'm wiser now than I when I wrote that answer. But I don't know. And I've seen you progress and you've it's always with grace and perfection, but sometimes all of us make mistakes. And this
Oh,
is not about making mistakes, but I'm trying to say that this whole journey and meeting and being a part of this and doing everything has been so amazing for me. Creating in public, putting myself out there in public, not even celebrating that I'm doing it. I'm in a book. I haven't told people to pre-order it, but if anyone's curious,
yes.
I'll I'll let you know about that later. But yeah, so thank you for that question. It's really cool.
So we want to make sure that we let our audience know that we see them and we're so appreciative to them hanging in our room and watching us. So this is Toyin. She is in the UK and she says, "Hi, Dr. Jarika and Janan. Really enjoying this conversation. Thanks for sharing." We have our none other than pharmacist Kim Newlove, and she says she's enjoying this conversation. She only heard the audio. She can't see the video. Dr. Kim, we have to send you the video personally. We will do that. She said, keep going. It might be her phone. That's okay. We're grateful that you can hear us. And thank you so much that you took the time out of your busy day to send us a comment and let us know that you're watching. Dr. Kelly Roberts says, thanks for sharing your journey. And Kim again says she loves the library. Like, I mean, when I heard you say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want a photo shoot in the library. I love books. I would, that would be, those pictures are absolutely, first, so appropriate given your publishing journey, but two, provided wonderful background, wonderful scenery for you. So I'm glad to know that not only was the experience of being in the magazine, the things that were amazing, or that were amazing for your journey, but also leading up to it, because you basically, I tell people in having their photo shoot, go be queen for the day, because many times we don't necessarily afford ourselves that opportunity. We're giving and doing and serving a lot of other people in our lives. And so I hope you felt like a queen for the day at the library. That's one of my favorite places. And so Dr. Sharon said, progress over perfection. I like that. Absolutely. Because one of the things that I say, Dr. Janan, is sometimes pharmacists are so analytical, and the skills that we would use to calculate neonatal doses and for the neonatal ICU are not necessarily the skills that we need all the time for life or for business.
Right.
Yet, those are the things that we rest in. I was talking to my coaching class the other day, and I said, do you remember when you were in pharmacy school on rotations, or if you did a residency, and in your white lab coat, you had all kinds of little cards that had formulas, and you had like little books in your, maybe it was the Sanford Antimicrobial Guide. You had all the things, all the charts, all the formulas, all the algorithms to help you do your pharmacy work. But that doesn't necessarily always pan out to be what you need for life and for business, especially if that building a business, it's a whole new beast, if you will. And so tell me, I'm sure that there are many things that you encounter being an entrepreneur, charting a different course than you were trained to. How do you deal with the unexpected? Because, business is one of those things that kind of goes like this, it's not like this. And so, as you rise each day and you head into your day as the entrepreneur, the CEO, how do you handle the unexpected? The things that come your way, that there's no antimicrobial guide or little cheat sheet in your pocket to help you answer.
Yeah, that's a great question. Everything I'm encountering right now in some way is unexpected, but with a hint of I've done this before.
Mhm.
And I always stop and pause and say, okay, I have not published a children's book from scratch before. Kelly Roberts, who responded here, she and said hello. Thanks for sharing the journey. She's a part of this with me. And what I want to share is that when you have someone that's an expert in a craft, let's say for me, I would like to call myself an expert in publishing. I've done it for 8 years now. I've published, I know what to do. Even if I don't know how to do it in a new territory, maybe let's say children's books or the cookbooks that are coming out with me, or some other health equity content that's publishing, or memoirs that I'm publishing for another fellow pharmacist, Salam Kabani, I stop and think, okay, even if I haven't seen this exact thing, there's never going to be an answer for
Mhm.
everything you've done, but you have to come to terms with a similar life situation or a similar work situation and apply those. And if I don't know, I go to an expert. If there's something that's ethical or related, I go ask my lawyer friend, and I have a pharmacist lawyer friend,
Right.
Darshan. If something it's marketing related,
Mhm.
I'll ask someone like you. If it's something about publishing that I never encountered in my experience, I go back to my colleagues that are in the publishing world. You'll notice that asking for help, that's hard for some people. It's not for me. I love asking for help. I need help to create my empire that I hope to build. But what's the hardest for me is saying no and knowing
Mm.
when to say no. That's my
Mhm.
challenge. And that is the biggest challenge I have experienced since I've met you, knowing what to do and what to say no to, because I have lots of dreams. My dreams are urgent, and I'm acting on all of them like they're urgent. And if you do that too much, see, too much
Right.
of anything is not good.
No good.
No
Yep.
good. So I have your I have your dreams of urgent are urgent written down, but then it's also progress over perfection
Right.
and take care of yourself first, because I found that I have wanted to be the perfect mom to my three beautiful girls, the perfect spouse, the perfect daughter, the perfect
Mm,
publisher to all the 18 projects I'm taking on right now and more coming. And you can, but you can't do everything for everyone. And
no,
so the more and more I say yes to, I'm saying no to something else. It's either
absolutely.
my kids, it's either my sleep, and a not slept well Janan is not the best. I'm not going to be as meticulous for your book or
Mhm,
for your project or for
mhm,
so saying no, walking away from some things that with pride, walking away from some things with strength to know that I've done everything I can and offering what I can continue to do
mhm,
if there's a new project that I can or can't take. And that's been the biggest lesson. And you have been a part of me seeing that too, because I've seen you scale and I've seen how your magazine has turned into more magazines than one. And that's the inspiration that I have to say, okay, I don't have three eyes. When someone sees me when I say I do this and this and this and I do that and that, they're like, you can't. And I turn that around and I say, "No, Dr. J didn't say I can't. I can. I just have to be smart about it
mhm.
and meticulous and analytical. Take that pharmacist brain on and say, there are 24 hours in a day. What do you think? What do you think?"
I feel like you've been sitting on my shoulder because I just had that conversation yesterday and I was like, we all have the same 24 hours. And no
Yeah.
matter how much you add onto your plate, if you don't take something off of your plate,
Oh
you
yeah.
something's going to come up short by default and
Yes.
you're going to be exhausted. And
Yes.
I coined that phrase, your dreams are urgent, because one of the things that I feel that we as humans take for granted is time. And we always assume we have more time. We always assume that we can get around to it. And I feel that as pharmacists, because we tend to be so analytical, we try to think our way through things before we actually take that first step.
Yeah.
Even when we get advice, we don't necessarily take that advice because we're like, nope, let me go back and let me think about this again. And this is not a commercial for not thinking,
No.
definitely. However, I think that one of the examples that I know that we all can relate to is the day before the shutdown of the world in 2020. The day before that, we all went along about our day as if we had plenty of time. And then the next day, we woke up and there was a shutdown and no one was to go anywhere. Everyone was to stay home. And then it was like, oh my gosh, but you don't understand. I had this, and this to do. But how much of this, and this to do had you put off because you assumed that you had more time? So that's why when I say things like your dreams are urgent, it's to speak to that person that puts off till tomorrow, which tomorrow never comes, that puts off till tomorrow what they could have already been doing. I have a pretty public existence um, on social media. And I'm in awe of the number of clients that come to me and they're like, not doing that social media thing. And I'm like, but it's the quickest way that you can market yourself
Yeah.
that doesn't cost you anything.
Free.
And
Yeah.
most of the reasons why people are like, not doing that are very egotistical because we think somebody cares about our hair. We think somebody cares about our makeup or no makeup. We think somebody cares about if we fumble over a word. I did an interview for someone else right before I came live with you. And in that interview, I misspoke as I did when I started this live, but you just keep going. And
Yeah.
so if someone wants to go, oh my gosh, she made a mistake, then good riddance, that's fine. But
Yeah.
when I tell you my dreams are urgent, so I got to make all the mistakes while I'm doing the thing.
Wow.
This
Yes.
magazine surely is not perfect, and I have no intention for it to be perfect. And I definitely know the areas that I need and want to improve in on the magazine. But in the meantime, I've got a mission to help women share their story, because for every one woman in the magazine, I believe that there's 10 to 15 to 20 to however many who are like, oh my gosh, I'm so inspired by reading Janan's story. I'm so inspired by reading this woman's story.
Yeah.
I can do this. Let me reach out to her. Let me build my network. Let me sit down and go, well, what is it that I dream of? Part
Yeah.
of the reason that I say your dreams are urgent is because in my journey, someone had to remind me that I had permission to dream. I
Yes.
had forgotten it. You know how
Yeah.
when we're little and people
Yeah.
go, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Because we had a dream. And don't judge me. I had a dream that I was going to marry Michael Jackson and I was going to be a veterinarian. I was going to help him take care of his animals. Now, obviously, that was, a younger dream, and that's not going to ever happen. However, at least I was dreaming.
Yeah.
But what something happens when we become adults and all the dreams that we had, whether realistic or not, we we kind of put them on the shelf and we go, well, I'm supposed to be, and I'm a pharmacist, so I need to. And then we start marching to the beat of a drum that's not even a beat that sings to our heart.
Right.
So I say all the time to pharmacists, don't let your brain edit what your heart is screaming.
I love that. Yeah.
And most of the time, our heart is screaming, I want to teach. I want to coach. I want to be a publisher. I want
Yeah.
to impact the world. I love the name of your business, Global Bookshelves. Like global, like there is something. My friend, my quote. You'd be amazed at what a woman in pharmacy can create. And originally,
Yes.
it was you would be amazed at what a woman pharmacist can create, because I'm amazed at the things that I've created and that my colleagues have created.
Yeah.
So the fact that a woman, never mind that she's a pharmacist, I mean, that's great, but a woman can sit and dream and have a vision to impact the world globally, whether it be through a magazine to highlight women in pharmacy, no matter their age, no matter their academic title or their credentials, no matter their ethnicity,
Right.
no matter. And to have a business where you are building a global community around the fact that we definitely need to read more because we're so entertained by these things right here. Nonetheless, like that to me is amazing, that there's a woman pharmacist that can sit back like this and go, what do I want to see in the world? And then actually put her footsteps one in front of the other, no matter how hard it is, no matter who believes in her or not,
Yeah.
and actually walk it out. It's more about the journey than the destination, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Tell me, I know
Absolutely.
I went on a
No.
tell me, what are you thinking? What's coming up
Yeah.
for you?
Okay. First of all, I should have brought my tissues because you're making me cry. Number one. Number
Mhm.
two, the first thing that came to mind is a short phrase based on what you just said. It's perfectionism can be procrastination.
Yes.
Right? So this search for I'm not going to start that until I do it perfectly. I
Right.
can't do that. The book isn't ready because it needs to be edited. And I'm like, let's just start the conversation. That's
Yes.
one thing
Hmm.
that I want to empower others to think about. Perfectionism is procrastination.
Absolutely.
The second thing that it makes me think of is that, you see me. I think that a lot of people are like, yeah, there's Janan, she's doing this publishing thing. You heard, what I'm trying to do. And I go a lot of places and I feel like people don't know what I'm trying to do. And I don't know what I did in explaining it different to you. That's why I want to cry because I like feeling this feeling, number one. And number two, you truly help me feel like I have a platform, a voice, and something to say. And what I want to share is that you said you want people to be able to dream of what they wish. My dream, if I could have a dream come true, it would be that people understand what diversity, equity, and inclusion really is.
Right.
Because right now it's this buzzword. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, Breonna
Mm,
Taylor. There was a black box that all of these different companies put online about 2 years ago, and that was great and all, but I know what it really means for
mhm,
diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I know how many mistakes I make on a daily basis of things that I don't know about. I'm writing books to illustrate and raise the voice of things I'd never heard of. Essential tremors. I don't
mhm.
know, do you know anyone with essential tremors, ET? Did you
Not
learn
that I
about
can
it in
think of.
pharmacy school about how to treat it?
No, not that I remember.
I'd not learned it in pharmacy school. Just for the pharmacy nerds that are listening, drug of choice is propranolol, so you all
Mhm,
know that. Well, guess what? Children have a high incidence of this, and there's
um,
no children's book that talks about essential tremors.
mhm,
So that was like, and Kelly in this chat, hopefully she's still listening. She came and I met her at the perfect time in a book writing seminar.
mhm,
She started talking about this book she's writing about this boy named Shaky Quakey Jake. And I said, I've never heard of this. And I learned more and I've learned more. And then when you think about it as pharmacists, see, I'm still a pharmacist when I write these books or
mhm,
help with these books. What is a condition? I spoke to a doctor about this as I
mhm,
was learning. Children have asthma,
mhm.
beta blockers, propranolol and albuterol. They're they contraindicated. It's not going to work.
Absolutely.
So when you think about a drug of choice for a condition, see pharmacist hat on, but then the global bookshelves hat is we're creating a voice, and it's not just for the people that
Mhm,
have ET. It's not just for this people. I called my company Global Bookshelves International because have you heard of little brown readers?
yes.
Have you heard of Salam reads? These are these sub imprints that these big companies like Penguin and
Mhm.
Simon and Schuster. What they do is that they have Penguin, everyone's heard of Penguin.
Penguin.
You may not have heard of these sub imprints. So, like if you talk about a shelf, the global bookshelves that I want to create, we need to take them out of the imprints and put them all next to each other.
Right.
Why are we compartment? It's not just for little brown readers.
Mhm,
Little white readers, little yellow readers, little purple readers need to know about brown readers, and
mhm,
little brown readers need to know about themselves. It's about
mhm,
knowing about yourself and also knowing about others. That is my dream. My dream come true would be to create mirrors and windows for the world because right now there are biases that we
yes.
have. And the way to get rid of a bias, I'm going to talk about the problem, but the solution, because pharmacists come up with problems, but the solution
Mhm,
is how do you get rid of your biases? I have one. I like vanilla over chocolate. That's a good bias to have, maybe for some, for others. But if you
mhm.
brought me a chocolate sundae and I kind of looked at it, you would feel a little sad. Janan, I came to visit. I brought you some chocolate ice cream and you're not excited. And again, it's because I have a little bit of a bias. I wished it was vanilla because you don't know my favorite flavor, but that's okay. How do you get rid of a bias? Is just ask questions,
Right.
right? Find
Right.
out more, learn. If you can do that, and if storytelling is really important in all of this, you tell beautiful stories that stick with me. If you can do that through a story or through content or whatever, if you can tell your story and learn about someone else's, your biases are going to go away
Mhm, mhm,
slowly. It's not overnight. Nothing. And what you said, last point I'll make of everything that you've said that makes me really feel, and it's what I believe, it's that you are planting seeds,
mhm,
right? All of us, we're planting these seeds. Every connection that we make, you're planting a seed,
mhm,
and then it, to make that seed thrive, you water it so you get back in touch with people. It's about connecting hearts, connecting things. And as you keep watering it and nurturing that relationship, that idea,
mhm,
whatever it is, if it's a dream, it's a seed of a dream. And you either put it away and
mhm,
ignore it, although that seed's there. And then if you, it doesn't matter, you can start today. That's when I think when you say your dreams are urgent, it's always kind of been urgent because that seed was there, you planted it, you know that it's your dream, but it's
mhm,
only urgent for you. And if you don't water it, that's your choice. But if you water it, this is what I've done in a year. Like people now come up to me and they say, "You're so cool." I'm like, "I'm not cool. I've not changed at all. I was actually cooler before. I'm more of a nerd now because I'm tired because I have all these dreams that are urgent and I'm trying to do them all. And so anyway, I'm rambling, but I wanted to say that the dreams are urgent. It's if you choose to make it. And
Yeah.
it's important you are choosing. If you're not following your dreams, you can't blame anyone. You can't blame your
No.
job, the golden handcuffs. You can't blame your children. You can't blame your spouse. You can't blame him or her or anybody. You can only blame yourself because it
Mhm.
takes 1 second or one little watering can to water that dream. And find others. If you can't water it yourself right now, find someone who
Right.
can come and help you water it.
So, thank you for your thoughts on my thoughts. I appreciate that. As I listen to you, I am always reminded of why we're connected here.
Yeah.
You see, oftentimes when we meet people, we try to meet them here. We try to be a meeting of the minds.
Right.
But, there are people that I have met on this journey that we're connected here,
Yeah.
and we don't have to talk every day. I can literally know, I sent one of my clients your way. I know that you all have developed a wonderful relationship, and maybe you've met, more than one of them. There's one I'm thinking of specifically, and I'm really big about when I refer people to connect, it's because I really have a very high respect for both of those people.
Right.
And I take it very seriously. I don't just casually toss up names and go, oh, yeah, call Janan. No, I'm saying you need to call Janan because she's amazing. And I think you're amazing. And you two amazing people, I hope, can talk. And whatever you all come up with is going to be amazing. But, one of the other reasons I think back to us meeting is that in many ways we're different, but in many ways we're the same.
Yeah.
And it was John V. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I'm pausing because I don't have it right in front of me. John V. With InPharmD, John V. Punyarthi, who said to me, and she was actually the guest editor for the anniversary edition last year. It
Yeah.
was John V who stopped me in my tracks because we got on a phone call simply about like how you and I met. And she said, do you understand what you've done? She was like, because you, a woman of color, has taken the initiative to put your face on the cover of a magazine repeatedly. She
Yes.
was like, you have opened the door for so many other women of color in pharmacy to do the same. You don't understand how Sunny Rowe stopped me in my tracks when we met last year, and she said, she kept looking at me. We're on a Zoom call, and she's like, we're the same. We're the
Yeah.
same. Your story is my story. Like, and so how many moments, and this obviously I have said from the beginning that PharmaSis Magazine is not a Black women's magazine. It's not a women of color magazine. It's a
No.
magazine for women in pharmacy, pharmacists, technicians, students, fellows, what have residents. It's a magazine for all women in pharmacy. However, I don't miss that I'm a woman of color, and I don't miss that I'm a Black woman, and that me doing what I have set out to do, which surely wasn't to have my face on the cover of any magazine, and especially repeatedly. I never had. It wasn't until Jean V got my attention and was like, "Hey, woman, do you realize what the impact that you've had?" And so I say that to say because many women of color come to me, approach me for coaching, for being featured in the magazine, what have you. I'm moved because I never even thought or planned that this would be the outcome. But what I know is that my experience as a Black woman and a pharmacist in these United States is different from other people's experiences. And I'm sure that your experience as a brown woman, as a pharmacist in these United States, is different than an experience that other people may assume, oh, well, they're just all pharmacists. It's different. And it's one that I endeavor to continue saying To all women in pharmacy, I see you. Your face matters, your voice matters, your dreams matter, your message that you're trying to get out to the world, whether it's in your neighborhood, whether it's in your state, whether it's in your region, the country, the world, your message matters. And I think that as I listen to you talk, I think that is one of the reasons why from the beginning we connected here.
Yeah,
That's all I wanted to say on that topic.
that's all. I have just one thing also to say, and it's
Yeah.
we should truly listen to others as you've done, to all the women you've listened to. For everyone that's not listening, don't ever judge a book or a magazine by its cover.
Mhm.
You connect with hearts due to your shared values. It has nothing to do
Right.
with your age, your profession, your title. That
Yeah.
all is because of the titles and all of these. That's privilege
Yeah.
speaking. And stories are powerful.
Yes.
Everyone has a unique story. And so that is what I want to say, that stories are important. Everybody's journey, everyone's lived experience is what it is.
Mhm.
And when people listen and not judge first, there's so many beautiful things you'll uncover, that we have so much more alike than we are different. And
Yes.
it's important to have the differences. It really is, because
Mhm.
I asked my
Absolutely.
eldest, I said, "Do you know what
Yeah.
diversity is?" Because she says this on her podcast. We read children's books, diverse children's books. I said, "Do you even know what diversity is?" She goes, "I don't know, but we read books about kids that have all sorts of different things, different problems." And I stopped her because I said, "They don't have different problems. The problems are all pretty much the same. It's just there's just a little different flavor of the problem, and maybe the skin color, or maybe it is about a unique ability, or all of these different things that at the core, we all just want to have belonging.
Right.
We just all want to feel like we're heard and
Yes.
included. A lot of times, if you have problems and a conflict is a good thing. If
Mhm.
you don't have conflict, you have no innovation, because a conflict is when you stand there and you see the six and I see a nine from my perspective, and both of us are right. But I
Mhm.
have to stop and listen and see why. Because if someone stood from your side, they would see what you see.
Right.
And it's taking that time to walk over to the other side and listen. And that's it. I really appreciate you and everything that you've done for me, and helped me along in my journey. And I think all the women, I've read every single story. I've connected with so many people, and we're working in so many different levels because I found them in your
Mhm.
magazine. They invested in themselves and believed in themselves
Mhm.
enough to take that leap. Those are the kind of people that I want to be around. And I thank you.
So I've heard it said, it's not my quote, sit at the table with winners, the conversation's different. And I really do believe that.
Yeah.
I also believe that, and we talked about it when you came on, that you are the sum of the five people that you spend the most time with.
Yes.
And so all of those things are true. And my hope is that women who see these broadcasts, women who get a copy and read the magazine, women who see the marketing of the women on social media, that they say to themselves, I can do that too, or I
Yeah.
can do what I'm called to do too.
Yeah.
Dr. Janan, it's truly been my pleasure, and I want to ask you, because I don't want to leave this platform without people knowing how they can get in contact with you. So, will you give me one way? So we're gonna send them all in one direction. Can you give us one way to get in contact with you? So, like, if it's your LinkedIn box, it's going to be overflowing now. So just go to that one place and answer all your fan mail. So give us one place that people can go to connect with you, to start conversations, to ask more about you, to ask more about Global Bookshelves International, that they can ask questions, that they can network, connect, whatever it is that they're looking to do as a result of hearing you. And before I do that, I want to make sure that I knew this conversation was going to have people on for 54 minutes and that they were going to love it. So here is Dr. Kareen. She said everyone should have a lawyer friend. That was back when you were talking about talking to your lawyer friend. She let us know that she said she had to go back to work, but she thanked us. If Dr. Kareen is amazing. I've tried
I
her
love
product.
her.
Her panna cotta was
Oh,
wonderful.
I've had it. It's
Yes,
amazing. It's delicious. Mango pineapple was my favorite.
I had, oh gosh, I can't remember the flavor I had. I think it might have been coconut, but
Yes.
it was wonderful. And so if you haven't tried her product, you've got to. Nonetheless, let's see. Dr. Kelly said, love that concept, whatever we were talking about at that moment. She also said, mirrors and windows for all children, uniquely abled or typically developing. Acceptance is inclusion.
My mom, she made it. Thank you, mom.
Your mom. Hello, mom. Thank you for watching. I don't get many moms in the audience. So, mom, Janan's mom, thank you, thank you, thank you. She said, enjoyed the conversation, presented well. That must make your heart just go. To have your mom supporting you on our conversation today. And then Toyin, who I mentioned is over in the UK, said this conversation is full of gems. I'm looking forward to catching it on replay. As her connectivity was fluctuating, she had to go, but she thanked us for having this conversation. So now,
Yes.
tell everyone the one way that it's best for them to connect with you.
Okay. I'm going to be the black sheep answering your question simply, but in a different way. I want to empower everyone around me, and every one of you has a unique journey. Every one of you has a unique platform that you like to go on. I'm the only Janan Sarwar I know.
Mhm.
Janan Sarwar. If you're on Instagram, I'm there, LinkedIn, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that I'd really like you to go to my website, globalbookshelves.com. You can find it. I'm not even going to say how, if that is what it is, but I won't spell it out or anything. If you like what you see, if there's something of story that you have or a question that you have, I have a lot of hats that I wear, whether it's related to being a mom, publishing books, podcasts, creating content, international, cookbooks, whatever. I like all these random things.
Mhm.
Find me the best way that you want to find me. It's the way it's meant to be, and I will meet you there. And
All
that's
right.
that's the answer.
So, and it is, I know that we haven't talked for a while, but it's like when you haven't talked to a good friend for a while, but you fall back into step as soon as you start talking, and you got your tissue and your tears, and it's like however much time has passed since we spoke, outside of the magazine and the particulars for that, it's like that time doesn't exist because it's like we picked back up. I am so, so, so proud to have been peeking in the window at your journey from when I met you to current day. Whenever I see you on social media and I see your beautiful young ladies, I'm just like, oh, I'm cheering for you. When I
Thank you.
saw that day when I happened to pop onto LinkedIn and I saw that you were doing a live, I was like, oh, well, let me go in there. And I sat and I was like, this is really interesting. I really enjoyed it because generally I don't sit still in the middle of the day too long. But I was like, no, this is good. And so I have been so honored to be able to, from the sidelines, see your journey, see the growing that you're doing, the things that you're building, the things that you're putting into the earth. I'm in awe and I celebrate you, which is why I'm so grateful that you were willing to come and be a part of PharmaSis, because this is history, and if you know me, those pictures and that marketing we keep, and we put up archive pictures, and we're like, hey, remember her? And so I promise that not only will we obviously continue to be friends, but I can't wait until we are at the point that we're doing now with some of the first ladies who were featured in the first couple of years, saying, hey, we want to do a feature on you, saying, where are they now? Because it's so we just we're getting ready for the actually the summer issue. We featured Leslie Hodge and Blair Thielemeyer and
Yeah.
said, where are they now? And these ladies were slaying it in the game when they were interviewed, before they were interviewed for PharmaSis. And just to look at where they are now, they're still slaying it in the game. And it's like, wow. I mean, it's such a amazing thing to look and go, well, what are they doing now? It's been a couple years. So
Yeah.
I can't wait until we can do that and see even more of your dreams happening, manifesting, coming true, even more of the things that you are aiming to introduce to the world actually happening. And you'll be in mid stride and I'll be running saying, Janan, we want to catch up. Where are you now? Like, I can't wait for those moments. We just reached out to some more ladies who were in some of the earlier issues to ask them. And I got a peek in on an email and she was like, of course, I'd love to. And so that is what makes me say that I feel like I have the best job in the world, because I have built my dream and then I get to share and connect with women who are building their dreams. And we just happen to be pharmacists, but we're doing some amazing things in
Yeah.
the world. In the world. So I'm so grateful for our friendship, grateful that you spent an hour, actually, it's been like an hour and a half of your life with me today. And I definitely can't wait till we connect again. Let me say to anyone who's listening, if you're like, what's this PharmaSis magazine? So here is a cover from our winter issue. If you're like, what is this PharmaSis magazine? What are they holding? What is this? Then I encourage you to check us out on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. And yeah, that was Dr. Jamie, Dr. Kathy, and yours truly. I encourage you to check us out on social media. You can go to PharmaSis Mag. It's Dr. Rachel. Yes. You can go to pharmasismag.com and you can find out more about the magazine. Again, I'm Dr. Jarika Dodd. You can definitely, the best place to reach me is on social media. Wherever you are, I am. However, if you want to get directly to me, I am a LinkedIn girl. So you can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn or any of the social media platforms. And I, as well, I think she won't mind me speaking for her, as well as Dr. Janan, we look forward to meeting with you, connecting with you, hearing what your dreams are, and how we can potentially work together, support each other, whatever needs to come out of that connection. So thank you, Dr. Janan, for hanging out with me on a Friday. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. For those who are watching the replay, we really do appreciate your support, and we'll see you soon. All right. Take care. Have a great